You guys have been begging me to do the part 2 of the Super Smash Bros. Infection AU, but unfortunately the creator of this alternate universe had to pass it on to somebody else, and I just had to wait for enough content. And now that we got it, here's where we left off. Ness, Cappy, and the other survivors are laying low at Dr. Mario's laboratory where he is researching a cure. And sadly, this gets put on hold because sooner or later the infected would take over his laboratory. And right now, the current survivors that we know of so far are Dr. Mario, who was saved by Banjo-Kazooie that day, Ness and Cappy, Sheik, Villager, Marth, and even Pit. So going forward, the next part is named Hunted. And it starts off with Pit walking with Mega Man saying, "Do you know where we're going?" And he nods yes, and he's like, "At least tell me where we're going." And so he whips out a map and shows them exactly where he's going, right spanking in the middle of the World of Light. And it turns out they're trying to look for portals so that they can find survivors. Some of you may have noticed that Mega Man is infected, so why is he not trying to take Pit down? And the interesting part about that is that he is a Neto robot, a humanoid combat robot. So the human part of his body may be infected, but the robot part was actually manufactured and designed to protect humans. And one of the most important attributes of a Neto robot is their adaptability, which is why we see him helping Pit and not acting like the other infected. Going forward, as they continue following the map, soon they start to see that someone is following them, and it's Duck Hunt. And as they prepare for a new challenger approaching them, Ken comes out of nowhere and saves them, making Duck Hunt completely flee the scene. And what kinda makes me itch a little about this is that Duck Hunt had wings, which lets us know that when they were infected, because the character is kinda 2 in 1, they both kinda morphed into each other and fused, creating this disgusting monster that Ken, after scaring off, pretty much tells Pit and Mega Man that Duck Hunt is harmless, because Shooter, who's not only part of their moveset in game, isn't infected, and shoots Duck Hunt whenever he gets near anybody, and any other infected that come around. Continuing on, they all get comfortable and stay together at a camp, and that night Ken starts feeling uncomfortable around Mega Man. He sees Mega Man walking around the camp patrolling and says, "Hey, what's wrong with you? Are you infected?" And he doesn't get an answer, so he starts being aggressive towards him. And unfortunately, this backfires because right when this happens, an infected comes out of nowhere, and right before Mega Man can stop it, it infects Ken. And so Ken is dead, and the next morning they leave with Pit saying, "I didn't even get to say goodbye to Ken." And sooner or later we get more information on Pit and Mega Man. Pit is optimistic, knows how serious the situation is, but since he trusts Palutena's word, he thinks that he's gonna save the world. And on the other hand, Mega Man is immune to the virus, but is also said to have malfunctions here and there, which hopefully doesn't mean that he's the one that infected Ken. In the next part, we see what happens to the shooter in the bonus episode named Bang Bang, and basically he sits here crying and hating himself for not being able to defend all 3 of his comrades, Ken and Duck Hunt Dog.
Why do I have to lose him? Why do I have to be stuck with this dog?
Keep in mind, bullets don't really do anything to the Duck Hunt characters, and that's why the infected is not going down for good. In their own game, they get shot over and over again every time the player plays. They get shot, and bullets are basically like a temporary knockout. They don't put them to death. Moving on, in the next bonus episode named Deep Sleep, it follows Ness, who's currently sleeping and having a very bad nightmare. And it starts off with him seeing his friends from the Earthbound world, and when he sees his friends, he's like, "Oh, thank you, you're alive." And they're just like, "Why wouldn't we be alive? We've been waiting for you, Ness." But this is all too perfect, too good to be true, and eventually he sees blood splattered all over the place in his home universe, and people begging him, asking, "Where are you, Ness? Save us. Why don't you save us?" And right before his dream ends, he sees Kirby in his universe, and that's when his dream ends, and he wakes up. Now, what's scary about this might mean that Kirby has infiltrated Dream World, and this is why he's in his dreams. And since Kirby has access to these dreams, it makes it easier for spreading the infection around. And so Ness is looking down at his clean hand and saying, so the infection hasn't been spreading any further, right? Continuing on to the next episode called Tears of the Wild, which is a play on both of the Zelda titles named Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, we're shown Sheik, who just abruptly woken out of their sleep and is seemingly having the same nightmares like Ness. And also Sheik gave Marth an idea on what they should do next to combat this infection, which had something to do with leaving the village. So as they embark on a new journey, Villager decides to go with them since Isabelle is now here to watch the village. So as they're walking out to wherever they're going, Sheik and Ness are talking about their nightmares, and Sheik says to Ness, after reading Dr. Mario's notes, I realized that he and I's dreams are exactly the same. I've been seeing Link killing me. And Marth makes an interesting observation saying, I think that might be this world's Zelda's final moments. And Ness, when hearing this, is kinda shocked because of his dream that he had last night. And so she continues on by going into more detail on what went down in the dream, and basically Zelda and Link were sparring like they usually do when training, and out of nowhere Link dealt a lethal blow onto Zelda. Blood splattered everywhere, Zelda is dead, and all Sheik remembers is that the hand was nearby. Now this sucks because in the world of Super Smash Bros, there's no blood and there's respawning. But remember, earlier on they said that the rules of the game was changed by the only ones that could do it, which are the Master Hands. And I'm guessing Link and Zelda were sparring not knowing of this change, and everything went wrong. And Ness gets very upset, and as they continue walking, they finally run into the body of Zelda, slashed down her body just like how Sheik described. And from a distance away from the body, Sheik actually runs into Link, who's talking to himself. And when he turns around to see who's there, he looks so unsettling, and I just can't imagine what he's going through right now with the tears and blood on his face still. Basically, if you didn't know, all the reincarnations of Link across all Zelda games dedicate their whole life to protecting Zelda from evil. So imagine them taking the life of Zelda themselves. So then out of nowhere, Link gets up and starts heading towards Sheik, and Sheik is like, Link, I'm sorry. But at this point, Link has gone crazy and is basically not even there in the head. So he starts saying, you're not real, you're not real, you're not real, you're not real, and stabs her in the eye. And as Ness and Marth is trying to hold him back from doing more damage to her, he actually breaks through, and right before he can split her in half and finish Sheik, she fortunately puts an end to his life. Going forward, the next part takes place in a separate universe from the Super Smash Bros. In Pac-Man's game. And Pac-Man's doing the usual laps around the block, and that's when we see that Diddy Kong is also here, most likely looking for Pac-Man, and he can't seem to find him, but what he does find is probably one of his worst nightmares. Bayonetta being held up by her hair and hanging upside down. The infected are already pretty much unpredictable in this AU, and Bayonetta in her games uses her hair for a lot of things and even her clothes. So having infected Bayonetta move around using her hair as legs is a pretty good detail, but also an unsettling one in my opinion. But to continue, Pac-Man is just chilling, and then he hears a loud scream from a monkey, so when he goes to investigate, as he's turning the corner, he starts to see blood. But before he even tries to see what happened, he says, I need to get out of here, and right before he can exit, something intercepts him, and he's left there lifeless on the ground, with his corpse being found by the Fire Emblem character named Robin. And he's writing in his book that Pac-Man and Diddy Kong are confirmed dead. And you can somewhat make out that Joker is his next target, so I can't wait to see what's gonna come out of that one. After all of that, the next bonus episode is named Stained, and it shows us the aftermath of the Link and Zelda situation from Villager's perspective and his shoes. And of course, for an Animal Crossing character, he is not handling this pretty well. As he's washing his hands of all of the blood, you can tell that he's very traumatized about what he's seen, and he's saying things like, everything's changed, I'll never be the same, and this blood will never wash off. Basically saying, I'm never gonna forget about this moment, ever. I'm still wondering why Diddy Kong was alone in Pac-Man's world when in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, he was with Donkey Kong the whole time, even in their own video games. I'll be making sure to be keeping you guys updated on this AU as it progresses. Share this video to your Smash friends. God bless all of you people, and thank you for watching.